The in the in the book of Ezekiel, the glory of God leaves the temple, and as you can see on the map, you know, and leaves the temple in Jerusalem and goes to the east. So it, Ezekiel seeing this in a vision, and it travels away, and this is in about 586 BC. So around this same time, interestingly, the birth of Daoism is being um, written on, and the ideas of Taoism are circulating in China in around 586 BC, around the same exact time period. This might have even been around the time Lao Tzu was born, the philosopher Lao Tzu, um, who um, wrote the scroll of the Tao Te Ching um, in somewhere around, five maybe 570 BC, or five more like probably 510. It's not known exactly, but it's thought to be somewhere in the 500s BC. So Lao Tzu lived along the Silk Road. Here's the image of the area where of Wuhan. There's an ancient Taoist temple in Wuhan in China. In the Wudang Mountains is where Lao Tzu would have traveled toward. And that if you keep going, Lao Tzu then traveled westward. He traveled to the west. So there's a lot of images of that being in a lot of depictions. He's traveling west, and he's confronted by the guard on his way, and that's when he compiles the Tao Te Ching. He's confronted by a guard, and he's being led by, in some concepts, he's being led by Lao Yan, which is the ancient, uh, essentially the Ancient of Days, equivalent, could almost be equivalent to, this is a picture of Lao Jun, um, the ancient High One. So this concept of this one who mastered the way becomes one with the Tao, over transcending over time and space, a lot like Melchizedek. So the concept is similar to Melchizedek, the order of Melchizedek, which is older than the Bible itself, older than the biblical story. And Lao Lajun sounds very similar to El Elyon. The Melchizedek was the priest of El Elyon. So the priesthood of Melchizedek was around before the Bible. It practiced asceticism, which was very similar to the ancient Taoist concepts. I've looked this up. Involved, fasting, regular, certain eating habits, and things like that were ascetic practices. Purity and all that kind of stuff was practiced. They're very similar in nature. Trying to kind of purify the self of all kinds of attachments and sin, to purify the being, to become one with all of creation, one with Elohim, all of nature. So you can become like an Edenic being once again, basically, just like Enoch did. That's the whole idea. You're merging into one with the all, with Elohim, the Father, um, by changing your nature on the inside, internally. So the concepts are similar to the breakdown of the creation in Genesis. Elohim sees everything that it is Tao, or Tov, Magda Tov, which is exceedingly good. So the whole entire process of creation seems rooted in the same concepts, the same of the Tao, the unfolding and unraveling of the natural order of creation, and people's need to return to the oneness of God, the oneness with all things, to find healing, to find complete rest, is the idea. So, because the universe was all at rest when he finished the creation on day 7, it was all at rest. So the return would be people finding that harmony and rest in themselves, and then all of nature would be healed. So that the brokenness comes from within the self in the first place, not recognizing that. Lao Tzu is being led by El Elyon, or Lao Lao Yun, the ancient high one, um, to go across the Silk Road to the west, 500 BC. He would have. I've drawn the line of where he would have traveled into the. Here's the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire is right here, right bordering with ancient China. And this is a place called actually called Hengyu, right here in Pakistan, in the border of Pakistan and China. Right in here, there's a place called Hangyu, which was associated with Daoism and with Lao Tzu. There's also a place called Hangyu in China up here, associated with Taoism. So there's two passes. This would be the pass that he supposedly left in China. And there's some debate as to the story, where he would have written the actual story, the Tao Te Ching at, and how the story got there. So he left from here, and then there's a Hangyu Pass in this area too, where he's traveling, being led by Lao Lao Yun. Lao Lao Yun is leading him, the giver of the scroll. And Daniel the prophet is also in 500 BC here in Iran. Daniel in Iran. He's at the river praying and fasting for 21 days to find the understanding of God, the truth of God. He's then shown the scroll of truth. Someone comes. This is one of the depictions of the river, the actual river. And Daniel sees three beings, one on the other side of the river, one next to him on the river, and one in the middle. And there's three beings standing there. And then one gives him a scroll. So he's given a scroll, and then he sees the Ancient of Days, El Elyon, taking his throne, and then he receives the scroll. And then he's told that the Messiah must come, and that the end must come. That all these things have to come to pass to bring to fulfillment the understanding of the scroll. The seals of the scroll have to be opened by one mortal man, who is Jesus Christ. Jesus was the only one worthy to open up the scroll in heaven and earth. So he's the only one who was found worthy to fulfill the scroll. And interestingly, Lao Tzu is known to have written the scroll. So this is the Tao Te Ching was written on a scroll, on a rolled up scroll, a bamboo scroll, written on inside and back. So the similarities are there all throughout the whole story. Lao Tzu is traveling west, and he's confronted by a guard. He rides on a bull. Here's the bull. Here's the depiction of the bull, like the Taurus bull that is common in astronomy. So you can see the Taurus here, the Taurus, and right behind it is the 7 stars. The Pleiades sits right behind the head of the bull. So in the depictions of Lao Tzu, he's always holding the scroll just behind the horns of the bull. You'll see that. So the scroll correlates with the 7 stars. So you go to the book of Daniel is told to seal up the scroll that he's shown, the scroll of truth. You go to the book of Revelations, you'll see the reference to the same scroll, same concept in Revelations 10, where he's told to open up the little scroll and to read it and to prophesy to many nations. Trying to find, here's the comparison picture. Lao Tzu riding the bull. Here's the scroll. Here's the 7 stars just behind the head of the bull. So you can see the bull, you can see the 7 stars, you can see the bull here, and then the scroll. So the scroll is reference to the 7 stars. In the Revelation, the 7 stars are the message to the 7 churches. So the 7 churches are the messengers. The 7 stars are the messengers to the 7 churches. And the whole entire Revelation is about what? the unraveling of the scroll, the unsealing of the seven seals, the scroll, which is which would also correspond to the, as I've come to see, the seven chakra system. So the unraveling of the seven scrolls, the seven seals, is the chakra system. The body being purified of sin and attachment inside of the body, inside of the being. The being is made up of, just as we know, nerves and centers in the body that make up the very essence of being. Is these 144,000 nodes in the nervous system, the 72,000 nadiyas in Vedic um, uh, science, in which equates in and out nodes, which would be 144,000, representing the whole being, the being being completely whole in God. So when the seven seals are open, when the being is purified as he corrects the seven churches, then the one individual is saved, becoming one with the body of Christ, becoming one with the Father. When one being is saved, he can then channel that to save many, to save others. So it starts with one, and then two, and then so on. So the salvation of the whole requires the wholeness of each person being whole, and one with God. So, and then there's a unity in that, and a strength in that recognition. So here's Lao Tzu traveling westward. I've drawn him traveling west, standing over Europe and North America and D.C., the District of Columbia. And here's a depiction of Jesus going to the Ancient of Days, taking the scroll of the seven seals, beginning to open up the seals. Jesus is revealing the source of healing of all mankind, ultimately, by opening the seven seals, the seven chakras, releasing the 144,000 being freed, being redeemed, being brought into the light of the Lamb. That would be the individual being coming into full transcendence, into the glory of God, recognizing the glory of God completely in all things in themselves in all things, and all things in themselves. It's a oneness that is universal. It's a oneness that can't be surpassed. It's the knowledge that it surpasses all understanding. A peace that surpasses all understanding. A total oneness is what God desires with us. So we can see it in the. Here's the whole full picture I made. So the seven stars are right here. The seven stars and the seven churches line up together. So the seven stars are the messengers to the seven churches. The seven stars are behind the bull, the Taurus, riding on the bull. Here's the scroll of Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, behind the bull, coming westward in 500 BC. Daniel sees a messenger with a scroll in 500 BC. Jesus comes and opens up the scroll and opens up the seven seals so that he can bring the glory of God to the whole earth. And I've drawn the kingdoms of mankind here in this depiction. This is a painting I found online, but the small stone will fill the whole world and topple the statue. So I'm describing the glory of God as being represented in the scroll, which fills everything. So it starts out as a small stone, and then through understanding and realization, the glory of God then fills and consumes everything. The all-consuming fire of God. It becomes one with everything because it is one with everything. It's just by the recognition of that in us that we're one with that same everything, and we're also one with the Father at the same time, so that everything becomes all in all. That's the whole recognition. So the casting off all doubt, casting off the shadow of doubt, the shadow of the serpent. In God is only light, and darkness is even made light to him. So all shadow, all illusion, all doubt of that oneness and transcendence is gone in the true Edenic glory and full oneness with the Father. So that the shadow, the doubt, the serpent can't get in there. The serpent can't even. It's like a picture of a bubble of this glory and total oneness and harmony with the Creator of all. What if God be with us? Who can be against us? What is there that can? What shadow of doubt can there be in true oneness if everything is truly one with the all, with the Father? So I see that in the idea of the Tao being one with every. The Tao creates a oneness. The idea of the Tao is that it completes and fills and holds all things together. So it's the substance of the underlying structure of all matter, all things in the whole entire universe. So it would essentially be a spiritual portal into the higher dimensional reality of the Tao. Is called the gateway, more of a gateway. So if you breaking down the physical layers of physical nature down through the layers of gravity, electromagnetic light, sound, all the layers of energy that are around us that create this world, and then the layers of energy of the physical body, which is just molecules and you know hard surfaces of electrons, and they create this sense of touch, right? So this is all just energies at the deepest level, and then that subtle energy is made up of something more subtle, which is that gateway to the spiritual, the gateway to all understanding, um, breaking it down to the point of where all becomes one, as if you know flowing through, as it says, God is in all things and through all things. So it would go through down through the layers of um, you can picture gas, liquid, and solid. So breaking everything down into its deepest fundamental nature would be the understanding of the Tao, as Jesus even says in one place, the whole kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. So once you understand the mustard seed, the tiny little point, you can then understand all things. You can see all things. It's faith. The faith is like that mustard seed. Belief, faith, believing in the things that are beyond perception. That there's a whole reality beyond just the tangible, the perceptions of the eyes, the ears, and the physical senses, which is all we're experiencing in this life. And then it goes. He so 500 BC. He's going to Daniel. He shows Daniel the scroll. The scroll is then revealed. Lao Tzu then, metaphorically speaking, is going westward. So interestingly, the prophecy comes of the Messiah, and Christianity spreads out all over the world. But Christianity then eventually spreads to what we call the West. Europe becomes majority Christian, and then eventually we're gonna you get over to America and you see, interestingly, that all of this even farther west. I've drawn the line going westward to America, where this is all a large majority Christian population as well. So the fulfillment of prophecy, that very same prophecy that Daniel received of the coming of the Messiah to open the scroll, to unlock the revelation of history over time, that he is outside of time completely. The glory of God flows straight through time, and all is already known and foreknown and destined in God. So the full sequence of this is literally playing out in our day-to-day lives, and people miss it. So here's the depiction in the Capitol building, and this is all symbolic, as we can see. This is the monument. This is the Capitol building behind it in the form of a cross. So here's the monument, the solar plexus penetrating up into the temple, the pineal gland, which in the Bible is called Pane El, which is the face of Elohim, so the face of the all. So we get into the all by breaking down the physical senses into the inner core nature of our being, which is seated behind the eyes in this gland, the pineal gland. So that's the core of the being, the mind itself is behind the two eyes, right in here. That's where the center of the mind is, the center of the consciousness that we experience, and being able to unify that with the Father. That's where the imagery comes in of the chakra system. So we could see the all-seeing owl on the top of the monument, um, right here. So here's the owl. Here's the owl right here, representing this all-seeing eye. So the all-seeing eye, I call Elohim. I would call God. You know, it's perhaps left open by the builders of these monuments. That George Washington built this, representing maybe some kind of concept of God that he had, that there is an all-seeing, some type of all-seeing, all-pervading consciousness in the universe. Um, I would call that Elohim, correlating to the seven chakra system, where our being can unify with that through the purity of through the Holy Spirit. Here's the solar plexus right here, where the monument is penetrating up into our consciousness, bringing us together, connecting the heart and the mind together into complete oneness, into unity, with the source of being, the Father, Elohim. So here is the full, the ritual and symbolism is rooted in ultimately in God. Is how I see it, and this is the Holy of Holies, where what they call the Capitol building is. So the Capitol, the dome on the Capitol, representing the pineal gland. You can see the little point here with the left and right, and take a look at the Capitol. Same exact infrastructure in the design, and it's as if it's left open. It's left open by the founders of the founding fathers, that there is this oneness in being with all things, and I think they were not bent on enforcing one religious concept on everyone, but that reality, that subtle reality, would have to eventually come into one truth, one reality. That's where I see Elohim of the Bible. So the God, the creator of the Bible. I see the symbol of the cross in this layout, with the solar plexus pointing up, going upward into the midst of the Capitol. Going due east. So Lao Tzu is coming. Lao Tzu is coming westward over time in this spiritual, in the spiritual realm. Is how I see it. And here is here's the full pattern right here of this in DC on Google Earth, so you can see the symbolism, the chakra system going rising up to the crown, facing. This is facing due east. This is facing eastward toward the seven churches, toward Jerusalem, toward that direction. So, and then here's the owl. The owl of the all-seeing eye. The owl has big, bright eyes and can rotate its head all around in a full circle. So that represents the idea of being all aware, being in that state of oneness with the all, with the Creator, which is Elohim of the Bible. And then, oddly, and so here's the pattern of the. So here's that pattern right here. As you can see, and the being is focusing in on the inner light. So oddly enough, and then you go to this imaging. So here's the representation of the seven chakra system, the spine, the human spine, and then over here is the again the fire at the of the JFK monument, where you see what indeed looks like the letter Q. I mean, you can see the Q clearly right here. It's a circle, and then there's a flame burning at the bottom, at the base of this, an eternal, constant flame that's burning into that, um, into that. Here's the Q right here, rising upward as if illuminating the person from the inside, the the inquiry, the question, the thing that we're all seeking. I see it as Elohim of the Bible, the full answer to the oneness of God, coming, giving us the answer. Here, we can see the cue. The answer is, we all have the same question. You know, we all have the same inquiry. What is the all truth? What is the all in all? So that fire, that flame, riding up from the Lincoln Memorial, riding up through the chakra system, through the monument, and as I say, through the cross. You can see the shadow, as it changes throughout the day like a clock. When the sun is behind it, pointing in this direction, pointing toward the monument, pointing toward the Capitol building, toward the lighting up the owl, illuminating, bringing the illumination into that sanctum, into that place, into the Capitol. That we're all one. We're all one in Elohim, the Creator. Here is there is a depiction of Lao Tzu. This really blew my mind. I mean, it's so bizarre that Lao Tzu was depicted in this way of passing up the guard, which you can see in the symbolism of the Taurus and the belt of Orion. The same exact symbolism, which I'll attempt to depict. I'll have to type this in real quick. So here's the depiction of Lao Tzu, again, riding the bull, the Taurus, to the west, where he's confronted by the guard. Where you clearly see the symbolism of He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Of the bull, I want to show that this isn't drawn by me. This symbolism is there and apparent in the very layout of the history, the structure, the full synchronicity of all of this from the 500 BC to today, happening all at one time now. So this is all where this all stems from. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Here's one of Lao Tzu confronting the guard at the pass. Here's one right here. This is so clear that this is depicting the Pleiades and the Taurus bull. It's undeniable. Yeah, there it is. So there's, as you can see, the Taurus, the bull facing this way, the 7 stars right behind it. There's the 7 stars behind the head of the bull. There's the guard blocking him from crossing the pass. The guard is standing in front of him, blocking him from being able to cross the pass. and coming into the through the solar plexus, westward into to set in the west, where the glory of God will remain. Um, so all of this just happened recently. The coronavirus comes out of the east and comes to the west, spreads across the west. The coronavirus coming out of course, China along the Silk Road. Um, the symbolism is it's bizarre, but it's so much symbolism there. And this all just came to me just in a flash. Here's due directly north and west. So that's facing eastward. Here's the Silk Road going all the way back to China, where Wuhan, China, right here, where there is an ancient Taoist temple. So the the pattern remains the same over time. The whole world is locked down. This was all prophesied to Daniel by the man carrying the scroll on the Silk Road where Daniel was at, facing the east. The man comes and meets him. The man passes the guard. He says he was detained and imprisoned for 21 days, where Lao Tzu was also detained by a guard where he wrote the Tao Te Ching. I mean, it's so strange. It's so bizarre. It's such only a divinity, a higher power could even align all of this. Here is the final bizarre revelation. Here you go right here. What do you see here? What do we So here's Lao Tzu on the bull. Here's the tourist confronting the guard. Here's this recent event at the Capitol building where the man went and you see the man come in with the horns of the bull on, confronting the guard. There's the Orion slightly below it. It's as if this was all just happening to the fate of prophecy, the fate of all of human destiny. I mean, it's just so mind blowing. I mean, the symbolism, the pattern, the alignment coming from Wudang, China, the ancient Daoism, across the Silk Road to Daniel, the prophet who prophesies Jesus and the coming of the Christian West into being. Daniel, literally, the prophecy of Daniel literally predicts the coming of Christianity and the coming of the Messiah. Lao Tzu goes into the temple. Lao Tzu, the glory of God rests in the being of the human being, in the person, in the alignment of the temple, built by George Washington, the District of Columbia, the capital, the all-seeing eye, the all in all, represented here in the Capitol building, the all in all, the left and right hemisphere of the brain, the being, the core, surrounded by the owl, the all-seeing eye, God uniting with the being, becoming one in the all in all. This event happens right in the midst of the Capitol building. The horns of the bull, the man on the left, coming together in the midst of the Capitol, right here, riding in to take control of the seven stars, the seven seals, mankind unifying with the all in all through the Messiah, Christ coming into the heart, the Lamb illuminating the person, the Lamb illuminating us from the inside.